Hi guys, and welcome back to another DrAce video, and today we're going to be playing MotoGP 21, but more importantly we're going to be doing the race recap of Aragon round 13 of the MotoGP 21 season in real life, of course, not the video game. This is the real life Aragon that has just occurred just yesterday. But first and foremost, we have the 3 Grand Prix in Aragon for this weekend, so I decided to start from Moto 3, discuss Moto 2, and then we'll move on to MotoGP. So starting off first, the Grand Prix winner of Aragon, probably the best man in Aragon, of course, in Moto 3, Dennis Foggia, with a terrific victory in Moto 3. He is really on a roll right now, and he needs to ride this momentum because as far as the World Championship goes, it's not going to be smooth and easy from the rest of the season considering how good his championship rivals are right now. But Foggia has got the momentum and he's doing the good job that he really knows he's got, because of course Dennis Foggia is probably one of the best riders in Moto 3 and he has had a treacherous season up until a couple of rounds ago, so it's good to see Dennis Foggia getting that bit of momentum and sort of motivation and sort of passion back for Moto 3, because I do believe in Dennis Foggia and I really hope to see the best for the Rocket. Of course, Dennis Foggia, Dennis the Menace, if you will. And speaking of Dennis, we have another Dennis on the podium, but this one is Denitz Onchu, I do believe that's how you pronounce his name. Another stellar ride and performance from the Red Bull KTM Tech 3 rider. He is fantastic. Of course, when we think of Turkish MotoGP riders, or excuse me, Turkish bike riders in general, we always think of Toprak Razgatlioglu and Kenan Sofuoglu, but for the time being, Dennis Onchu takes the spoils as being the Turkish rider to beat this weekend in Moto 3. Brilliant performance once again. He was leading pretty much all of the Grand Prix and just couldn't quite piece it together to take the victory. Dennis Foggia beating him on the last couple of laps. It was truly heroic performance once again from Dennis Onchu, and you just can't help to think that sooner or later he's going to get that elusive, coveted Moto 3 victory. It is coming, and he's just got to stay patient and stay within himself. But another brilliant ride from Dennis Onchu. Yumi Sasaki came from absolutely nowhere to take third place on the podium, so a double podium for the Red Bull KTM Tech 3 guys. Yumi Sasaki was brilliant here last season and brilliant here this season once again. It's good to see Yumi-san on the podium as well. But as far as the rest of the race goes, a very interesting race which seen drama and catastrophes for many riders. It was truly bizarre, honestly. Seeing first and foremost the crashes at the beginning of the race. Philip Salac ditched it into turn 12, a difficult corner to make, so I don't blame Philip Salac for crashing in that corner, because a lot of people tend to lose the front in there or just have a couple of moments in that corner. And of course Philip Salac actually had a huge moment to start the Grand Prix going into turn 1. He had a huge moment where he literally almost high-sided out of his motorcycle, but was still able to stay on board to unfortunately end his Grand Prix and not much longer after that one. Gabrielle Rodrigo, the king of the high side. I don't know how Gabrielle Rodrigo does it, I really don't. It is probably a known fact at this point that the Argentinian has had more high side crashes in Moto 3 than anyone ever in the lower class, and it's bizarre how he's able to have so many high sides, it really is. But unfortunately for him and Romano Fenati, high-siding on the exit of turn 16 really scuppered Fenati's chances. And Fenati, of course, doing a fantastic job this season after coming off the victory in Silverstone. He felt like he was going to have another good race here today, or yesterday, apologies, and then unfortunately ended early due to Gabrielle Rodrigo's twitchy right wrist. And it's very unfortunate when that happens, because of course no rider wants to be taking out another rider, and no rider wants to be the victim of being taken out by another rider. But that moves me on to my next point, and Pedro Acosta going into turn 5. He was very scrappy in this one with himself, with others, with Darren Binder. Sergio Garcia and him had a whopping battle. And honestly, Pedro Acosta, I think, just got a little bit too into it and probably had a little bit of red mist and unfortunately took out Xavi Artigas. And for me, Xavi Artigas was probably the best rider in Moto 3 until Dennis Foggia's brilliance towards the end. He was fantastic and he was on an absolute tear. Came back from quite far and just did a wonderful job of being competitive and just staying at the sharp end of the Grand Prix. And of course, Xavi Artigas' rookie season hasn't been great, and this would have really been that momentum booster that he probably would have needed for the Leopard Racing Honda ride. But unfortunately his race ended early due to Pedro Acosta losing the front and taking Artigas out, and it was a heavy crash for Artigas. I can't say the same for Pedro Acosta, it didn't seem too bad for him, but Artigas looked worse for wear after that incident. And of course the crashes don't stop there. The former Red Bull Rookies Cup winner Carlos Tati crashes out of the Aragon GP. Lorenzo Fallon and Jeremy Alcoba had a bizarre crash right at the end of the race, literally on the final corner. They had a collision and then for some reason both of them were down and out. Really strange position for them both to be in, but unfortunately for Lorenzo Fallon, I was following his performance quite closely for him, and he had a terrific race which was ended early pretty much as he exceeded track limits too many times, did the 658 squad DrAce at Corsa, but unfortunately for him it got worse after crashing, as I just mentioned, with Jeremy Alcoba. But he was on fire and he was really closing down the front runners, and to see him get that sort of penalty was just heartbreaking. He dealt with it straight away though, so fair play to him that one. The second he seen the availability to come up, he took it straight away and did his penalty. But a really, really intense battle in Moto 3. Probably one of the best races in Moto 3 this season. It was truly terrific between some of the best riders in the lower end class. But of course, the podium finishers to me wasn't really the ones who were standing out and who was going to be on the podium. I very much expected Ethan Guevara to finish on the podium, but I think his lack of experience in the class really hindered his performance and Sergio Garcia's. I think if they probably worked together a little bit, they probably both could have finished on the podium. And Sergio Garcia, in fact, he did crash actually, and I don't know how I've missed this one, but Sergio Garcia, after being gifted a wonderful championship opportunity after Pedro Acosta bit the front, I don't know how he didn't manage to stay on board for the final lap and to finish in a strong position. Unfortunately for Sergio Garcia, he crashed into turn 12, exactly the same spot I mentioned Carlos Tati did, and it was gifted to him. He was gifted a wonderful position. Even third, second, first, fourth would have been a wonderful result considering the points he would have gained on Pedro Acosta. And of course, Pedro Acosta this season hasn't done much mistakes. Of course, he crashed in Le Mans and got back up on the motorcycle, but still, Sergio Garcia, this should have been the one for him to bounce back and take another victory, or close enough to, in one of the home GPs, and he didn't. He lost the front going into turn 12, just being far too eager. I think he had a bit of the red mist from battling there was so much infighting with teammate Ethan Guevara, it got a little bit personal after a while, I think. I don't think them two are going to be friends at the end of this season, let me be honest with you. It was just a very determined Ethan Guevara and an even more determined Sergio Garcia. Very, very difficult situation for the both of them. Unfortunately, both men crashing out of the race. But I think I've spent a little bit too much time on Moto 3 because there's not that much long left in the video. So I am going to have to move on to Moto 2 now and discuss the heroics from Raul Fernandez. He was absolutely brilliant here in Aragon. Everyone expected Sam Lowes just to get to the front and disappear into the distance, and I honestly thought that was going to happen the second the race started, but Sam Lowes got out pretty well, but Raul Fernandez was still there with him. You thought, okay, maybe this is the part where Sam Lowes disappears, Raul Fernandez stays in second. Quite the contrary. Raul Fernandez shot to the front and absolutely dominated the pace at the front. He was incredible. So much metronomic consistency. It was brilliant. One of the best races I've seen for Raul Fernandez. Unfortunately for us, it was a little bit boring, but at the same time, it's great to see someone who is injured still compete at the highest level in one of the lower classes. It was really, really heroic stuff from Raul Fernandez. Major props to the Spaniard. He is not human, and he is not a rookie in this class. It says he's a rookie, and this is his first year in Moto 2, but there is a old, wise head on those shoulders. He is a very intelligent rider, and he is very, very confident in his own abilities, so major props to Raul Fernandez. But discussing the rest of the pack, Remy Gardner somehow took second place after what looked like a very, very difficult race for Remy Gardner. It didn't look like he was going to be featuring anywhere near the podium, but he was very fortunate. A couple of riders crashed out in front of him and just generally struggled themselves. Augusto Fernandez taking another podium, and this result for Akiayo is unbelievable. He's taken the victory with his top rider, one of the two top riders in Raul Fernandez. Remy Gardner probably will be the world champion this season, took second place, and Augusto Fernandez, who is moving across to Red Bull KTM IO next season, finishes third place. What a day for Akiayo and that outfit. Truly incredible, it really was. But a very interesting battle between Augusto Fernandez and Jorge Navarro, and it does look like both of those guys have got their mojo back. It does look like Navarro's back in the fight with the Boscascora, the hashtag speed up chassis, and then of course you've got Augusto Fernandez finally getting back into things. So we had an absence of Augusto Fernandez, and I've been wondering where it has been for such a long time, but it looks like he's finally back and ready to compete with the best people in Moto 2. Now, unfortunately, we have to discuss the low side of the Moto2 World Championship race here in Aragon, and that is, of course, the crashes. And there was a huge amount of crashes in this Grand Prix of Aragon. A very difficult situation because the track was very greasy and very difficult to control bikes. The temperature was high, the grip was low. It's a very difficult situation for the guys in Moto2, and I guess the tyres that were offered this week from Dunlop just didn't quite get the job done, really. But unfortunately, we did have a lot of crashes. Piotr Biesakierski, the Polish rider, unfortunately crashed out very early on. And a lot of the crashes came early on, such as Tom Luti's, Xavi Vierge, Hector Gartho. Unbelievably, Hector Gartho, no job next season, and he crashed out in Aragon from a wonderful 3rd or 4th place position. And you got to believe when that happens and you're on the job list, you're on the job hunt, you can't be making mistakes like that. You've got to be shining exactly as how brightly you possibly can to make sure people come and look at you and say, you know what, this is the guy I want in my team for next season. And Hector Gartho, one heck of a talent, so he's really got to pull it together and make sure he shines for the rest of the season. A couple of riders who I did not expect to be crashing out, and that's Alberto Reinas, were probably his best qualifying of the season, and he really looked in the best possible position to get some decent points. Unfortunately, him crashing out as well. And this is a man I mentioned about crashing too many times now. Lorenzo Dalla Porta crashing out once again from a good situation. I don't know what's happened to Dalla Porta after becoming the Moto3 World Championship, but the Moto2 campaign that he's on right now is not going very well. I really hope he can get it back together because he's one heck of a talent, so we'll have to see what happens. And of course, one of my personal favourite riders, Marco Bezzecchi, crashing out in this very same corner, actually, of turn 9. It's so devastating to see Marco Bezzecchi crash. Really devastating because, of course, Marco Bezzecchi is in the championship hunt and kind of in the picture. Now, maybe not so much. It was a devastating blow to his World Championship, and you could see how livid he was with himself for making that mistake. He didn't need to make the mistake. He had some good pace, and he probably could have chased down for the podium, but unfortunately Marco Bezzecchi not finishing here in Aragon. The same place where it went all wrong last season. After winning the first race in Aragon 1, Aragon 2, terrible performance, and it seems to be stuck the same here this weekend. Bo Benschneider crashed out as well. I didn't actually see the Bo Benschneider crash, but I unfortunately seen that his name was on the timing sheets as a crasher, and there was quite a lot of crashes in this one. Even, of course, Nicola Buliga and Somkat Chantra crashing out later on as well. But the biggest name to be mentioning about crashing was, of course, Marco Bezzecchi, and now another one, Sam Lowes. I don't know what's happened to Sam Lowes this season, I really don't. He looked perfect going into this season, and then the crash in Portimao in turn 1, everything seems to have gone pear-shaped since then. I haven't seen Sam Lowes back to the way he was in Qatar for ages now, and I really hope he gets it back together because it's his birthday tomorrow, and Sam Lowes, unfortunately, is going to be very disappointed in his result and his performance in Aragon, so he's not even going to be able to looking forward to the birthday cake tomorrow. But unfortunately, Sam Lowes blew it again. It's hard to say, and I really hate saying that, but unfortunately, Sam Lowes has got to sort it out soon, because next season is going to be a new season. He's going to have to be starting off positive, and he's going to have to be very confident in his abilities. You can't be going into confident when you've had too many crashes like Sam Lowes has. But upon that note, guys, I think that's that for Moto 2. I think it's time now to discuss MotoGP. I probably should do these videos a bit longer because it seems I have a lot more to say. But for the time being, let's move on to MotoGP and discuss one of the best races of the season so far. You guys know what I'm going to talk about. You see Pekko Banya on your screen right now. Pekko Banya versus Marc Marquez, the 8 times world champion against the 1 single-time world champion in Moto 2. What a thrilling battle, and I'm desperate for Pekko Banya to get a first victory this season because he feels like he is the one person this season who you really expect to get a victory, and if he doesn't get it, it's going to absolutely break your heart. And Pekko Banya, one of those riders who really deserves it. He finally gets his first victory of the season, and let me tell you guys, a first victory of a season in super tough conditions, in super hot conditions in the sense of track and just the whole environment, and going up against the 8 times world champion that is Marc Marquez, and you still beat him in your 42nd outing for MotoGP? You, sir, are a legend. Pekko Banya take a huge bow. It's not easy to beat Marc Marquez. Not many riders can get it done. But somehow Pekko Banya responded to 7 overtakes from Marquez. 7 attacks in some of the toughest corners in this Aragon circuit. Absolutely unbelievable. It was Dovi-esque. It was Dovi on that Ducati. Desmo Dovi, Desmo Pekko versus Marquez. It really was something sensational. I was speechless, and it's not very often you hear me speechless. And honestly, amazing performance. I really wanted Pekko Banya to win, and I'm so glad he won under these circumstances. It's great to see Marquez fighting at the sharp end again, so it looks like he's getting back into things, but he still said himself he's still not 100%, and you can see he's not 100%, but honestly, what a race. 14 overtakes these guys shared, from Marquez attacking and Pekko responding, and that is the heart of a champion. It's the ability, the star potential that you don't see very often. When someone is attacking you, let's change someone to a 8-times world champion is attacking you profusely over so many laps, and you respond calm and assertive every single time. Pekko Banya, you have my vote for the ride of the season. Unbelievable. It really, truly was unbelievable. I can't express how much I enjoyed that battle. It was absolutely fantastic, and I'm so glad he got the job done. Amazing, amazing work for Pekko Banya, and major props to such a wonderful young Italian rider. Joan Mir took the podium in 3rd place, which I think is going to be very, very underappreciated. That Suzuki on a track like this has literally no horsepower whatsoever compared to the Honda and the Ducati. Somehow got that bike in 3rd place, and he looked very, very confident, and honestly, he looked really disappointed after the race, and I don't know why. His performance was fantastic. 3rd place in a track like this for Joan Mir, I think a good job. The bike isn't the same as last year's for Alex Rins going into the Aragon GP and winning. This is a different situation. This is a different motorcycle, and this is a different track in the sense of track conditions. This is a greasy track where a lot of riders were struggling. You heard how many people crashed in Moto 2. Not many can be said the same for MotoGP, but still, difficult situation for the riders involved, having to use a hard front and a soft rear. It was a very tough situation to maintain such a high pace for such a long amount of time in this GP. Quick mention about Aleix Espargaro on the Aprilia, very close to the podium once again. Aleix Espargaro's confidence is rocketing high for the Spaniard. Absolutely phenomenal pace once again. Definitely looked like he could get on the podium, but unfortunately towards the end of the race did lose around 6 seconds to Joan Mir. Everyone felt like they were going to lose a lot of tyre life towards the end of the race, and they certainly did in these treacherous conditions, but another brilliant job for Aleix Espargaro on the Aprilia. Of course, you all guys probably want to hear about Maverick Vinales. Maverick Vinales, not the best of races, but bear in mind, this is his first outing on the Aprilia. He finished in 18th place, 27 seconds behind the leaders, Pekko Banya and Marc Marquez, which is not too bad. It's not bad going when you're on the Aprilia for the very first time. This is a different motorcycle that he's used to riding compared to the Yamaha, so a pretty good job as far as I'm concerned. Now the crashes, only 1 or 2 crashes to mention of, Alex Marquez and Jake Dixon, so unfortunately Jake Dixon's final outing in MotoGP, and I don't think we'll probably be seeing Jake Dixon back on the Yamaha or any part of MotoGP this season, so unfortunately this might be the last time we'll see Dixon, but unfortunately for him, ending in a crash is a little bit disappointing. The same can be said for Cal Crutchlow as well, finishing in 16th position. We probably won't be seeing Cal Crutchlow again this season, as he's already announced that he probably won't be continuing if Franco Morbidelli is returning. Difficult situation for Fabio Quattara in this one. He sort of went backwards in this Grand Prix. Very difficult situation for the Frenchman. Not confident here in Aragon. He has mentioned many times before that he's not a fan of this track, and the track doesn't do him any favours, and it seems that was the case here yesterday. Finishing in 8th place, so it's still a good result for Fabio in the sense of the World Championship. He didn't lose too many points to Pekko and Joan Mir, but of course the important part is he still did lose points. So you better believe that he needs to dig down deep for the rest of the Grand Prix. He'll do well in Misano, I'm pretty certain of it, but I have to think that I have a strange feeling that this could be the part that happened to Fabio last season. Super all the way through until it got to about Aragon and things went backwards. Is this going to be the same thing happening again? Joan Mir seems confident to believe that that is the case that is happening right now. That Fabio is going to struggle in Aragon, which he did, struggle in Misano, and then struggle again, and then probably lose the championship. That's what Joan Mir is thinking right now. I don't know if I subscribe to that theory, but I don't know how Fabio's going to react. This is a different Fabio to last season, and I don't think he's going to bottle it, but we'll soon find out. Enea Bastianini as well, a terrific result from him, finishing, in my opinion, should have been the top independent rider, but unfortunately the factory Aprilias are still classed as an independent team. I'm not sure why, but I really feel that the Ducati of Enea Bastianini should have been in that podium as celebrating the top independent rider, because he was phenomenal and truly deserves the recognition for his efforts here in Aragon. He was fantastic on a 2-year-old Ducati Desmosedici. But upon the note, guys, I think that is it. I've run out of time to continue my discussion in the MotoGP category. Last final bit to mention, I guess, is Iker Lecuona's stellar performance. But upon that note, I guess that's going to be it from me. Let me know what you think of these videos, guys. I really enjoy making these, so I hope you enjoy watching them and listening to them, however you do. enjoy them. And upon that note, guys, thanks for watching as always. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Hit the notification bell to be alerted to every single DrAce upload and live stream, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys, and ciao for now. Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite sate your appetite, then why not watch some more DrAce content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single DrAce video.